Hey guys, I just want to say that if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I'm a small content creator and could really use your support. I live stream 100% of the gameplay for games that I review, and I'm also always trying to keep up with the big named movies that are being released. If you would like to support the channel monetarily, you can do so through PayPal, or even better yet, you can get yourself some merch from my Teespring store. If you want to get better connected, you can do so through the social links in the description below, and please do consider joining the Discord. If you do, you can voice chat with me through my headphones while I live stream, and you won't be recorded on YouTube or Twitch. That's all I've got, guys. I hope that you really enjoy the video. Alright guys, so here we're going to start the spoiler section. So this is just some point spoilers, because some of this, I wanted to do spoilers for this movie specifically because there are some spoiler things that are really going to help you. And honestly, we kind of talked about the movie, I said below average, so if it's not even an average movie, it's not that big of a deal to spoil it, in my opinion. And then other Mike here said average, so but yeah. If you want spoilers, here they are. So, one thing, Morpheus. I thought that Morpheus was really good, a really good idea, because he is, in this movie, he's a program that Neo made for his game, and because Neo made him for the game, he's able to come into the actual, so it's like normal life, the Matrix, Neo's game, and then he's able to go from Neo's game to the Matrix, and then from the Matrix, they have a program, they have some kind of technology that allows programs to take over like a body, and he comes into the real world. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was a good idea. And as far as metaphorically, like when we talk about the deep things that this movie has, that's one of those deep things where it's like you have a guy who's coming from a fake world into another fake world into the real world.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way of putting it.
What did you think of Niobe in this? Niobe,
she was
the old lady.
The old lady. That's the one that was. Was that the one? That's when Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
Jada. I'm sorry, Jada Pinkett Smith.
I'm going to tell you something right now. She did not survive the entanglement very well because she's old and crusty in this movie.
I had a hard time. I had a hard time following her, and it's like, and she had a beef, and I'm like, what do you have a beef for? I mean, it just seemed like she was trying to, don't tip over the basket of apples or whatever. Or
don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat. I mean, that to me, I couldn't really concentrate on her as an actor, and I just kind of got lost in her a little bit. So, I mean, there were some times that I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on, and she did not help in the least and stuff like that. But
so I wrote two things for her. So one thing, so you guys understand, it's 60 years after the third Matrix movie. Neo and Trinity have been cloned back to life, or they've either been cloned or they had their bodies and they brought them back to life using their dead bodies or something like that. It doesn't specifically explain, but I don't think it had to, so it's not like a bad point. I'm just saying they're either cloned or something. But Niobe, she's the last surviving person from the original movies, and she's really old. And I wrote two notes about her. I wrote old and kind of a jerk. That's all I put. I just wrote
kind of.
No, she really was. She was a jerk. Immediately Neo gets there. Neo is literally almost Jesus. I mean, he's not, like both of us are Christians, but in this movie you can basically say Neo is like this world's Jesus. He came and saved them.
He's the savior of the Matrix.
Yeah, and they come in, and he comes in and is like, hey, I'm ready to do some business, and Niobe's like, no, I'm not going to let you. No, never mind. Go to prison. She puts him in prison.
Sorry, I'm going to put you in jail. Something like it.
So I thought that sucked. That
went real quick. I was like, how did that go so quick? He shows up and then, okay, you're going to be in prison. That to me, like part of the bad writing.
Yeah, like wasting time in other areas made it so that way they couldn't develop this part of the movie. That kind of, yeah.
And you made a good point. They could have done more on how Trinity and Neo came back as clones, or however they could have. I think that would have been interesting to me, how that happened.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. They could have probably... I've seen a lot of this in Hollywood now. They don't want to spend the money to make like 2 or 3 films, but they probably could have made 2 or 3 movies out of this. Like, they would have had to add content, but then some of the stuff they wouldn't have had to squeeze into here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not that that's a spoiler, but you made a point. If this
spoilers are okay here.
Yeah. Yeah, spoilers are okay. This is a spoiler-free area. If they would have stretched this film out and put in some of the aspects that we have talked about and maybe spread it over a couple films, I think they could have actually done something like the Star Wars, where, oh, wait, we got another, trilogy coming on, and it could have been really good.
I think this was a great idea. I really do. I think this was just the worst execution you could have done.
Great idea, bad execution. Yes.
One
correct.
of the good things that I thought that they did is I mentioned the Animatrix in the normal review. So definitely, this is going to be a second video. So definitely go check out the actual After Extra review. But I mentioned the Animatrix. In this movie, they show the machine civil war. Like, they show an aspect of a second machine civil war. They explain how after Neo does everything he does, the machines start to go, wait a minute, the humans aren't bad, let's help them. And then there's a little bit of a flashback scene where you see machines fighting each other. And it made me think of the Animatrix and how we got the machines fighting each other and to protect humans and just more of the machines in general in the Animatrix. And I was like, they could have explored that. They could have explored that more. Some people, I'm sure that it's just like the Terminator series. You know how there's a lot of people in the Terminator, people who like the Terminator movies, and they always say, oh, it'd be cool to see the future war. Well, it'd be cool to see the machine war, too. Like, it'd be cool to see humans actually in the real world fighting alongside of machines to protect themselves, and stuff like that. That would have been cool to develop.
Right, there's a movie.
Exactly. That's a movie in itself. Just like in the second movie with the guys in the big suits. I love those big suits, and I love that. Anyway, some people didn't like that, though, but anyway. That one's not such a bad point. It's just a lost opportunity. A big one that I want to mention, though, as far as a spoiler, is Smith. Why? Smith should be dead. Why is he in this? And it's so jarring because you see Neo's boss. We call him Neo's boss. He comes in and you're like, oh, there's him. And all of a sudden he's like, it's good to be back. And it's like, wait, you're Smith? Why are you Smith? How are you Smith? Why is Smith in this movie?
They could have done a different character. They could have done somebody totally different. Not even went with the Smith thing. Mr. Jones. I'm just putting a name in there. Could have done something. No,
exactly. Yeah. I thought it was just dumb. Like, there's literally, it's hard to even talk about it as a spoiler and review it because it's just like, I just don't think it should have been in. It's like, slow down.
I think one thing I just thought about is they got caught in a rut. And I think this comes into the writing, is that you needed new writers so you didn't get stuck in the rut. And they got stuck in the rut. They're like, we can't abandon Smith. We have to keep him. No, he was gone a long time ago. Let's use Mr. Jones or Mr. Johnson or whoever.
Or just, well, like they brought in the analyst. And the analyst, it replaces the architect. And in the originals, the architect was fine, but he was just some guy who sits in a chair. And here the analyst that's what I meant when I say replaces a character, but the architect was fine, but the analyst actually has a role. He talks, he gets dialogue. They could have literally just had Smith, instead of having Smith at all, it could have just been the analyst, and it would have been fine. Mm-hmm. Or another.
Yeah, but I wonder at the end when Smith does play a part at the end. Towards there's one part that he comes back.
Yeah,
but I want to know that done that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what I was saying. I don't think that was done well. I just think that could have been anything. That could have been the analyst could have done the big thing where because basically they explain how it's like Smith is trying to escape again. He's doing the same stuff he's always done, and he tries to fight the analyst, and that gives Neo an opportunity. And it was like he didn't do enough to make it impactful or make me care. And it's not the same actor, so who cares? I was like, this is dumb.
Right.
One thing. Oh, sorry. Go on. If you have more.
No. I think that again there should have been when some of this stuff was written, they should have just tore it out and threw it in the shredder and started all over again.
Exactly. I would say that it seems like they either had like an hour of this movie was cut, and in that hour they explained a lot of stuff, or they didn't write that hour and they just tacked some stuff on and were like, here, just put Smith in there too. Just whatever you do, you have to have Smith. Yeah.
And they're stuck to the storyline. They're stuck to the storyline. And it seemed like the gap just kills it when you have to explain something from them 60 years to kind of bring everybody up to speed. It's not like an Indiana Jones movie. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan. is that really, you can do several different movies and they don't really have to connect because they're
Right.
just, it's just the character that keeps them connected.
Right. Yeah,
But
no,
in
I
this
agree
in
with you.
Matrix, it's not like that. It's more than that. It's more than Trinity and Neo. It's.
Right. I agree. I agree with that. One thing is that there's parts where Neo's powers don't work right. It's not the biggest deal. Like, it's kind of a movieism. But the big one that a lot of people are going to mention, so you're going to have people who are really into the Matrix, kind of like the Matrix nerds, and they're going to say this, so I'm going to mention it here. The analyst can slow time, okay? But that should not work on Neo because the rules of the Matrix don't apply to him. So there's a scene where you see Neo and he's like this, and the guy shoots a bullet, and Neo is trying to catch the bullet, and you see Neo is trying to do this stuff. And what would have been really cool is if while the analyst was talking all arrogant and saying to Neo, I'm here, I'm the king here, I'm going to check out this new thing I can do, and I'm the boss, if Neo would have just been like, yeah, but I'm the one, and I'm the one, and then he punched him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did something really cool, and they totally wasted that opportunity. And it's not the biggest deal to me necessarily, but it's just that it is a plot hole, so I have to mention it. Like
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. That to me, this guy who has all these powers where he can jump and fly and everything like that, and all of a sudden he's the impotent Neo or whatever.
Well, that's one thing too, is that I think that they put a little bit of the girl power politics into it, and I think that by the end of it, it was a little bit okay, but they kind of put it in there anyway, where they showed Trinity being this, because they do this thing where Neo, he tries to fly, and he does the thing like this, like he's gonna fly, and you see the world flex a little bit like it does in the originals, and then when he can't fly, they laugh at him, and I was like, that's just to be a dumb joke, and then later you see Trinity can fly. They fix it because in the end of the movie they can both fly, and I don't have a problem with them both sharing the powers. We can talk about that, but I do just want to say they kind of put in a little bit of girl power politics where there's a scene where the analyst says, "Can't you control this woman?" and she just punches him, and it's like you can kind of see where they put in some girl power stuff, and not even to insult. I don't want to insult Wachowski here, but Wachowski used to be a man, transgender now. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But that makes me, when you see someone who's been a little bit political in their personal life about certain things, and then you see it in their movie, I don't think that's a coincidence. And I think it compromised the movie. So I'm not criticizing the politics in themselves, but I'm just saying I think that injecting them into this movie where they probably don't belong compromised the movie slightly. And it's not really bad where I'm like, this is a bad movie because of this, but it just makes you roll your eyes. You're like, of course they've got to put in a little thing there.
When Neo's hanging in the air and Trinity's, he's hanging on to Trinity in the air, that to me, that just, I don't know. I was hoping he'd jump off that building and he would fly to the other building. I don't think it would have changed anything, but.
Yeah. Another thing is that they bring back the Merovingian for the big fight scene that I said I didn't like. And he's just dumb. Like, they don't even beat him up. Like, the Merovingian is the guy, they're having this big action scene, and then it keeps jumping back to the Merovingian's face. And he was a big part of the second and third film. And they bring... he was a big part of the second and third film. And they bring him back, and he jumps up and he's, like, yelling, and he looks like a homeless guy. And I was like, why even bring this character back? Well, that's what I'm saying. Why even bring...
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, and I'm like, is this like a guy that they picked up off the corner that's asking for money in military? Like, Vietnam vet, need money. I mean, seriously, the guy, I looked at him like, oh, he looked like the guy with the birds in his hair from...
Yes!
Lord of the Rings, like
the Hobbit, yeah. Radagast. He looks like This is the Matrix. Well, the thing is like, okay, so you have Neo, who you've made kind of dumb and even laughed at because of the way he uses his powers. You've said that Morpheus is a bad leader. You made Niobe a big, ugly jerk. And you brought the Merovingian back just to make fun of him. And then with Smith, you did all this stupid stuff with Smith. So, like, you have 5 characters that you've brought back from an original series that was amazing. And you only brought him back to make fun of them and be mean to them. I mean, I was like, why would you make that decision as an artist? Those are your characters. You created them. What are you doing?
The bad writing, stuck in a rut. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. No, and I agree. So so what did they do to get Trinity out of the pod? Do you remember they explained how they had to take that one girl and they said, like, your mind is most closely to Trinity's, so you got to do something with your mind? I have no idea how they did. Yeah, like literally, like they explained it and it went really fast and I was in theaters, so I couldn't like pause and go back. I have no idea what they did. It's not terrible again. Some of the stuff
it's confusing. It's confusing.
Yeah, it just was confusing. It wasn't really well explained. Everything in the original Matrix movies was very well explained. Even the part where they had the key master and they explained how he can do all these things with keys. There is a scene where he sits down and very slowly explains everything in a very articulate way. Here, they have a character sit down and explain what the plan is going to be to get Trinity out of the Matrix, and it just really quick. She does it real quick, and I'm like, wait. And then when you see them do the thing, Trinity is in the Matrix still. See, I thought that what they were going to do is actually just pull her out of the Matrix, like her computer out of, like the program with her out of it, and then she was still in it. So then I was even more confused. I was like, so what did they do? I wish I could explain to you better exactly what I mean. They take her body out of this pod, and they do something that I don't know what it is to get her out. And then I thought that she was going to be out of the Matrix, but she wasn't. So I was like, what is this? It was really confusing. And it was a big part of the movie, too. It's like the whole point of the movie is to get her out of this pod, and I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, there's times where I'm thinking about what just happened, and they're next to the next scene, and I'm like, man, it just doesn't seem to be really clear.
Yeah.
It's not like the other one. The other ones were clear and sharp, and you were in it. You were part of the Matrix when you're watching it. This one is you're outside. You're kind of like, man, if that's a Matrix, I think I'm just going to sit outside and get in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, really.
And then my last point was saying that Trinity and Neo share powers, which is fine for me. I totally understand. It really goes along. Actually, this is a good idea because it goes along with the original movies. They explain how basically Trinity and Neo being in love is part of why Neo is able to do some of the things that he does. And this is what I wrote. I wrote it better than I'm going to say it off the cuff, so I'll just write it. I get the idea of love being a powerful human connection that is able to overcome computer programming. Mm-hmm. So I liked that, where they both can share powers now. They have the same powers, and both of them are the one, and it actually goes in line with the thing. So I thought that was cool. That's actually like an accolade. I have to give the movie this was good, because in the original movie, Neo doesn't become the one until he finds out that Trinity loves him, and then in this movie, because of their love, they have the powers. Okay, so that was cool. I thought that was cool. But I have to say, this goes right into my next point, though, is that the analyst, his motivations, I don't understand them. This is what I wrote. I said, Neo and Trinity are close to each other, but not being able to get to be together increases their output. But we don't know how, why, or what that really even means. And I have to ask the question, how does Neo and Trinity's love increase the power output, like the electrical power output, actual electricity, of everyone else in the Matrix? Because that was like a big part. It was like the Matrix was running out of, like, the machines had the Civil War, and then there was like, they were running out of electricity, and so they brought in the analyst. The analyst did this stuff with Neo and Trinity, and then they were able to produce more electricity for the machines. And I was like, how? It doesn't explain.
Yeah, you'd want them together. I mean, it was going to benefit everybody, you know?
Well, the big thing is that the solution for this plot hole is to just not talk about the fact about having electricity. They literally could have just had it that Neo and Trinity were just trapped in the Matrix just because the machines wanted them to. Nobody would have questioned that. And then they brought in this thing about, no, but let me explain to you why. It's like, you don't have to explain to me why, man. I get it. So
it's confusing. It's confusing.
Yeah, it's a really confusing thing. It's really kind of sad because the original movies were done so well. And then even if this one, parts of it are okay, it's like, come on. Even if you liked this movie, even if you said that everything was good about this movie, the originals were so much better that it's disappointing anyway. So, but do you have any closing arguments about spoilers here, or anything you want to say that's nagging at you?
No, I mean, it's just an average movie. I would, watch it on HBO Max is probably worth it. I don't think I would, once I've watched it, I don't think I'd go and watch it at the movie theaters and stuff. It's just an average movie. I mean, to me, it's.
I'll watch the originals over and over again, but I probably won't ever watch this one again.
Yeah, the first one is just, I mean, it was just such a amazing blockbuster movie that exploded, just did way better than anybody ever thought. And I think there were some expectations that for some people that this was going to be like, man, we're going to resurrect the Matrix, series again. I mean, this definitely put a nail in the coffin, I think. I don't, unless it was another storyline.
I'm trying to remember the last time that they brought back a 20-year-old series and it was good. And I know I'm saying that there are times when they've done it when it was really good. But they haven't done it like that where it was really good in a long time. Like we're, after a 20-year break or 10-year break or something and come back. They haven't done that in a long time, and I think that maybe for a while it's time that they stopped doing that. So
it's the Bruce Lee syndrome. And what I'm saying is that when Bruce Lee died, they tried to copy. They had now I'm making up names: Tom Lee, Sam Lee. Okay. So they had all this, and none of them ever worked. But who came along? Jackie Chan. He was a whole new character, whole new thing that they did.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
And I think that they could have taken the Matrix, and yes, they could have done another one, but they needed to get away from the dead Bruce Lee and get to the alive Jackie Chan. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly. Or maybe even done it without Neo.
Right. They could have done it. Why not with the young lady? I think
Henwick. I forget her first name, but it's Henwick.
Yeah, Jessica Henwick. Why not? She would have been I think that would have been great. Maybe the daughter of Trinity and Neo. I mean, I'm just making it up. But they could have done a whole new thing. It's like Creed, the Rocky.
The Creed movies.
Creed was a great sequel. You had a little bit of connection. You had Sylvester Stallone. He's helping us, but it was those were good. I like those, and I think that I don't think this was thought out well. I think they wanted to do it. I think there was probably great motivation to do it, stuff like that. But it
just wasn't done the best.
Writer rut. They were stuck in the rut. They needed new writers.
Someone came up with a couple of really great ideas, but did not know how to develop them into a movie.
Yeah, there could have been could have been a really good movie. They could have just used Bugs.
Yeah.
She would have done great. I think she's a great actor. I think she could have handled it. I'll tell you what, I really liked her in Iron Fist, and I mean, you could have done something around her, and I think that would have been pretty good. And then of course, if you're trying to, I don't know what the motivation was, but if you're trying to inject, like women, empowering women, I mean, I think she would have been the one that.
And actually, that's a good point. Yeah, have the main character be a female, don't
just go with her. I mean, that's fine if you. Everything has an agenda.
Yeah.
And this movie's no different. But if you're going to do that, then
do it right.
Yeah, do it right, do it well, do it good. So. Yeah. But that's my final thing. Average movie.
Well, there you have it, guys. So please wait for it to come out on DVD or stream somewhere. Go see it on HBO Max, but don't pay to go see this in the theaters. That's sad to say. So, but as I always say, we want here at Mike's After Action Reviews, we want to say, God bless you all. Merry Christmas. Have a good day, and hopefully we see you on the next one. Make sure to leave a like, comment, share the video. So, but you guys have a great one.